I'm here. I can hear you.
Wonderful. So we're really excited to have you on the show. Let's jump right in and knock on wood. Things gonna work out. So tell me something. What made you decide that you were going to become a content creator but do educational content? Because that's a little bit different from what we see as the norm.
Well, actually, I am a multi-hyphenate. A multi-hyphenate is really the new word for jack of all trades, master of none, right?
Okay.
So I've always been into content creation. I actually am a content creation strategist
Oh.
when I'm not doing all the other, wearing all the other hats that I wear. However, Tobago content specifically, I've always wanted to create Tobago centric content because I saw a kind of a need for it in this space. I know that many people don't understand the history of Tobago. Even myself, I learned so much by actually doing these pieces of content every day. So the idea is to get a piece of Tobago history into the social media landscape and into, Trinbago social media every day. And trust me, Tobago's history is very long, and there's something that has happened every day in history in Tobago up until this point, and it's just sharing some of that. So it's always been a part of me. I always love Tobago culture, Tobago history, everything. They always call me Miss Tobago, and no matter where I go, I've gone to study as far as Connecticut. They always know me as Miss Tobago because I just love it. I'm in love with it.
Devon, before we jump a bit more into your content, one of the things that you mentioned is that you are a content strategist. Is that correct?
Yes, content strategies. Yes,
Okay,
I help
so
Caribbean businesses do create their content and figure out their content strategy.
okay. Just wanted to clarify that because not all of us are as versed when it comes to the digital sphere. It's definitely up
Right.
and coming, and as I said, you're doing something with a difference. Now, you did mention, of course, that you're looking at sharing the history with Trinidad and Tobago. So, was that your target audience when you started?
So my target audience was actually Tobagonians. I thought, that just us would be interested in this. I had no clue that so many people further afield, many people who are abroad and yearn for home would want something like this or want to be able to identify with Tobago things. So there's a lot of Tobagonians living abroad, even Trinidadians living abroad. They tell me all the time, like, I'm so appreciative of this. I never knew this about Tobago. I didn't know this. And I feel it's such an important part of Trinidad and Tobago history that, we understand, that Tobago had a whole life and civilization happening before, we came to the union of Trinidad and Tobago.
I couldn't agree with you more. Now, one of the questions that we would love to hear from you, well, one of the questions we would like to ask is,
Yeah.
yes, you wanted to share Tobago history, but would you say that this was driven by the fact that there's not access to that sort of information mainstream?
Well, that yes and no. I'm in full disclosure, I was asked by what to say another entity to create this type of content, but even they, I don't think, had in their estimation that it would take on a life of its own as it has. So the original idea was really a one sentence, like, on this day in Tobago history, the THA was formed, that kind of thing. But it has kind of grown, and it really had to grow because it's more than just saying the THA was formed or the Tobago House of Assembly was formed. It's about what was happening in Tobago at that time, because I think a lot of times we see history as one-liners, right? Like, so it's almost like, okay, the British won the Second World War or the Americans won, but there was so much that happened to get to that point that needs to be understood than just simply saying the line of, well, they won the war, right? They won the war, yes, but it's misleading to just give that information. So it kind of took on a life of its own.
Yeah. Yeah. So how much research do you have to do for this? Because content curation is not something that is easy or short, to say the least.
Thank you so much for asking that question, because I think I remember I have a friend. She was like, "So what do? You just go online and type in the date and it just pops up." I'm like, "No, it doesn't pop up. The information is not readily there. I'm hunting down older heads in Tobago, constantly harassing them, calling their phone to try and find out. So what? So how was it? And tell me what happened on this day and what happened at this time. So it's a constant, it's always happening. Literally, I'm always looking, I'm always researching. It's almost a 24/7 job because it does take a lot of work to give you those, that 3 minutes worth of what happened, to condense it down into 3 minutes.
So, Adana, one of the things you said is it's a 24/7 job. Now, you're a mother, you're an attorney, right? You're a business owner. So, where do you find the time for this? Is it driven by the passion for it, or do you literally say, all right, you're going to box out your day according to what needs to get done?
I definitely need to box out my day. I do box out my day, but with two kids under 7, it doesn't always work the way that I envision it. But I thrive on multi hyphenatism. I almost thrive in chaos. That is where I'm like, it's the eye of the storm for me, and I find the calm in kind of the overwhelm and the lots going on. So what might look like chaos to somebody else, there's a method to my madness. There's a method to my madness. But you're correct. It is, it's a lot of juggling balls, but it's what I like. I like doing that. If one ball drops, then so be it. I'm not gonna cry over that because I have these other 12 balls in the air juggling. So yes, it takes a lot, but I love it. I absolutely love it. So I guess it's a combination of passion and having some structure to the day.
Devon, one of the questions that really want to ask as well when it comes to this is, so you started here with history. You said that you are multi-hyphenated. Do you see yourself expanding from history to even more Tobago content in the future? And how do you think you're going to be able to get that done with everything you have on your plate?
Definitely. There have been calls for books. There have been calls for workshops. There have been calls for a number of things. But the way I see this, I'm very audience driven, meaning what the audience tells me they like, I'm usually going to be right there with it. So one of the things that has been happening is more than history. People want to hear the local Tobago vernacular and how that works, or dialect, or mesolect, basolect. Like they want to hear how we would speak, because that's one of the things that happens all the time. So especially when I'm meeting with counterparts in Trinidad and there's another Tobagonian there, and we speak in our local vernacular, Trinidadians are usually like, this is a whole other language. How does this exist? And I don't understand it at all. So people want to hear that type of stuff. Even local Tobagonians are like, oh my grandmother used to speak like this, but I didn't understand most of what she was saying. So it has been opening up to other things. And, as I said, a love of culture, a love of our language as Tobagonians. So it's definitely opening up, and also opening up to other mediums, such as the books, such as the workshops, and so forth.
Devon, what about the option of monetizing your content? Is that something that you have looked into? Is it a possibility?
Yes, it is a possibility, but it's monetizing the content. It just has to be the right opportunity for me and the audience. So it's not only about me and what I want to get out of it, because Tobago has historically been an island that, many would want to take advantage of, right? As we've seen with the Europeans, they go fighting, chomping at the bit to get at Tobago. And one of the reasons I think that is because of our size, because of the richness of our land. There's so many reasons why somebody would want to take advantage, and I don't want to just be another person who comes to take advantage, right? I want to make sure that it's the right opportunity for Tobagonians and for Tobagonian culture. And for me, that's way more important than any kind of monetization that, could necessarily happen. So if it's in the form of maybe, say, a book that teaches Tobagonians and, well, anybody who's interested in learning about it, the facts about Tobago and things like that, then sure. But if it's just, kind of like, I don't know, maybe to make caricatures or satire out of, I'm probably not interested. But but we'll see how it evolves as time goes on. But I do have it in my purview, but it's just not it's not fully formed yet because it's still fresh, it's still new. This is something that didn't exist, before October.
Yeah.
So, so we're still seeing where it goes and what the audience says they want, and we're gonna take it from there.
Devon, where can our audience find you and connect with you? What platforms are you available on?
I am available on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. Those are my four kind of, four, sometimes Medium, sometimes other places because I also write. I love to write, love the written word, spoken word, love words. So that's Devon Adana. So Devon.Adana on Instagram, and everywhere else it's Devon Adana. At Devon
Wonderful.
Adana.
Wonderful. Devon, thank you so much for being with us on the show this morning. It's been a pleasure. Looking forward to seeing more great educational content from you.
Thank you so much, Natasha. Good morning, everyone.